So welcome back. Welcome back to the second part of our webinar session of today. As promised, we are going to continue and transition from stakeholder engagement to business case. We touched on this topic already before. So what's the enabler business case? Our last of the 6 enablers we're going to present in this webinar session. Well, as for main intervention, also building with nature is benefit for a sound and convincing the business case. Business case of building with nature, we noticed that is sometimes not straightforward. There's still uncertainties on avoided cost and co-benefit, uncertainty in performance of building with nature-based solution in the long term. Some of the benefits are so-called soft benefits, or it's difficult to quantify. Some people call it's a sort of ecosystem benefits as well. So I think we're working on to improve that is, first of all, try to decrease the uncertainty we have. For example, estimate the risk and the long-term uncertainties of nature-based solutions. But also, really, you see, really in these 6 different enablers, try to integrate, let's say, the standard engineering ecology practice with the financial knowledge. But not only with that, but also to really focus on multifunction of a nature-based solution, and that can satisfy also various stakeholders' objectives. So today, in the business case enabler, we also have a few speakers, and we will again take you around the world a little bit. We will start from the Netherlands with a bit experience on EcoShape and the EcoShape pilot. We will then go back to the north of the Netherlands with the point of view of a private organization that's working also on the by now famous AIMS 2050 program, and then we'll fly all the way to Africa to listen to how a business case is developed in a World Bank project, and then the cliffhanger. Once we are done with the 3 speakers about business case, we have our director Henk Nieboer, who will tell us what will happen with EcoShape in the few months and in the future, and how you could participate to that. I think it's time now to introduce our first speaker of the second part, Stéphanie IJff. Stéphanie is an ecologist by training, but she's also interested and passionate about governance and upscaling nature-based solution. Stéphanie is a researcher at Deltares, and she will give a bit of an overview of project about business case we work on EcoShape the last few months, and I think there'll be some publications that are coming out soon about this project as well.
Yes, so this,
Stephanie, the floor is yours. Switch to your screen.
Okay, perfect. So hello everyone, good afternoon. Thank you for watching this webinar series. I'm happy to start off with the last enabler in this series, namely the business case. And in this presentation, I would like to share some insights from the 12 years of EcoShape. So not only me, but the whole team of EcoShape have gathered the lessons learned. But why is the business case important? As Luca already introduced, building with nature is being applied more and more over the world, but often as pilot projects or knowledge generation is a big part of the project. So to scale up building with nature and really use this approach in mainstream and large-scale projects, not only the technical designs are important, but also how to build a business case. Because that's the first step to attract funders and financiers for these type of projects. So that's why over the last year me and my team have had a look at 9 of the EcoShape pilot projects. So here you see them in pictures on the screen. Some of them were really pilot projects and other were more mainstream projects. But overall, most of them are in a Dutch context, except for the Building with Nature Indonesia, of which you saw a presentation earlier this afternoon. We have spoken to the project leaders of these projects to ask them about their experience on financing, but also on developing a business case for their projects. The luck was for us that we started from the results of the Interreg project. So EcoShape has been a work package leader on business cases for the Interreg North Sea Building with Nature project. So that was also part of the tools we could use. On the end of this presentation, I will share a slide where you can find more information. Here I can just only give you a few of our lessons, but some of the projects are already published on the EcoShape website, such as the guideline for business developers and also fact sheets on the business case of these different projects. But other products such as white papers, one for the scaling up building with nature in the Netherlands and one for scaling it up in the international development context. These will be published soon. With this presentation, I would first like to talk about the business case and then further on highlight some lessons from the financing part. So as EcoShape, we define business cases as actually stated here, a presentation of arguments that outline the rationale for doing a project from the perspective of the investor. But more concrete, it's about balancing the costs, the revenues, but also the risks that a potential investor has when it will want to be involved in a project. To balance these costs and revenues and risks, you can use different tools to do that. And in our analysis, we looked at the EcoShape pilot projects. And you see that here on the right, what type of tools they use. And what was striking, that actually 4 of the projects did not use a business case or did not need a business case to convince the financiers. So here you see that it's not always necessary to have a business case at the start of a project. However, it's important to note that these are indeed pilot projects where the people really wanted to learn about building with nature, and with scaling up, business cases will play a larger role. Other tools that were used in the projects are cost-benefit analysis, but also social cost-benefit analysis, multi-criteria cost-benefit analysis, and a multi-criteria analysis. And these are all different variants that try to include benefits of building with nature, such as nature or natural value, recreational values, etc. Because that is a very important aspect of business cases for building with nature, namely that you want to include all these different benefits that it has. And sometimes you need to find a different tool to do that. Due to time, I will only discuss a few of the barriers linked to the enablers. So I just want to stress that all the different enablers, as presented also in this webinar series, play a role and are intertwined with the business case. What's important to know about business cases for building with nature is that you need to have local knowledge, because it's dependent on the local natural system, but also the stakeholder system, for example, and you cannot use the business case of one project automatically to another location. So here the enabler of system knowledge is very important in developing a business case. The second one is how to include all these different functions, which is also linked to the multi-stakeholder approach. You want to include nature, recreation, and you have to find new tools to do that. So here, multi-stakeholder approach can help you because stakeholders can also play a role in valuing these actually softer benefits. And last, I would like to talk about management, monitoring and maintenance, because there is some uncertainty on the long-term cost and maintenance. You have to take into account maybe some extra budget for this, but also what term, actually long or short term, you want to make your business case for. So here, adaptive monitoring from this enabler can play a role. Now some opportunities. Here is a picture from the guideline. I'll just briefly touch upon it, but you can read it on the guideline on the EcoShape website. But in this guideline, we'd like to explain how you can use the business case in different phases of your project. Because actually from already the scoping phase and the system analysis phase, you are working on specifying the goals and opportunities in your business case. And then during the selection of the different alternatives and the design optimization, you can use different business case tools. And then with the implementation step, you can also, again, use some other elements of the business case. So due to time, I will not go into much detail here, but I'd just like to stress that we've gained quite some experience on this. When you have your business case, you can start talking to potential funders. And from the EcoShape project, we found out that there were actually quite a number of different funders or investors involved. From the public funders, not only the national government, but also provinces, municipalities, water authorities did fund part of the EcoShape projects. Societal actors are, for example, nature organizations, also development funds and philanthropic funds. And for the business investors, you have to think about the Port Authority, for example, mainly the Groningen Port Authority, or from the Eems Deltares project, and then EcoShape partners themselves. Shortly, some barriers that might arise when you are talking to these funders is linked to the institutional embedding. You have to make sure that the regulations are already fit to work on building with nature. For example, in the Netherlands, one of the parts of the regulation is to have flood protection simple and effective. And there's not always room to include multiple functions there. So the enabler institutional embedding plays a role in attracting funders to a multifunctional project. Second, the business case itself. A lot of people question whether it's possible to attract more business actors to invest in building with nature. And here the return of investment is a big question mark. How to make sure that the building with nature projects can also gain some return of investment to these investors. And last, the financial world and the world of the technological world of the engineers, also the ecologists need to learn how to speak to each other and have a shared language. Because now it's sometimes a bit of islands that are just getting to know each other. Now, this is my last slide, I think. So the opportunities of investing in building with nature. Well, even though I did name some barriers to develop a business case and also to get in touch with funders, in the end, during our EcoShape analysis, we found that there are a lot of reasons why these funders were interested in investing in building with nature. You see them stated here. The reasons are a bit different per type of funder, but in the end, investors are very interested in building with nature and especially in the multiple functions that they have. So I would say that a match should be possible, and the future is quite bright here, and we can use the enablers to overcome some of the barriers that are still there. So concluding the key lessons learned, well, we as EcoShape think that a solid business case is very important to convince the potential investors, but also that the 6 enablers can play a role to overcome barriers if they are there. The multiple functions, long-term adaptiveness and sustainability are key benefits of building with nature and should be used here. And last, now is the time that not only but also the public sector and investors take a role in accommodating the trend to upscale building with nature. Now, if you want more, you can have a look at the Climate Adaptation Summit. More information on that in the end of the webinar. Also visit the EcoShape website. Here the different products can be found under the enabler business case, and white papers are coming soon. So watch our also social media, etc. And if you have questions, you can contact me here below. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's quite it was a lovely presentation and quite nice to see the experience of EcoShape. That EcoShape has gathered over the years. Still a quick question, because as you showed, it's not all about money, but it can be made broader. But this EcoShape experience related to a lot of pilots, does it also apply? Would it also apply to projects as well?
Yes, well, I do think that some of the lessons apply to larger scale projects, but especially the projects of EcoShape that were already more mainstream. So think of the Hondsbosch Dunes, for example, which was a mainstream project. In the end, especially the barriers of institutional embedding are very important to have a look at when you look at mainstream projects. Because often for pilot projects, special rules are made and more is possible than it's possible for mainstream projects. So here I think the barriers and opportunities for the institutional embedding are very important.
Thank you.
I think it's time to proceed. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for your presentation. I'd like to invite Bart van de Kolk. Bart is the sustainability coordinator at the Groningen Seaports, and he's involved in the Eemsdalers 2050 program and other different projects. And I'm pretty sure that Bart will take over from what Stephanie said and touching on a few topics here, and also on the scaling up issue of challenges and opportunities that's coming up in your region. Welcome, Bart. We see your screen. So floor is yours.
Screen? Okay,
yes.
Thank you, Luca, for the opportunity of presenting today the business case from a private perspective in the Eemsdalers 2050 program. A short introduction about Groningen Seaports. We are a private port authority, and we have to maintain the port, and for this case especially also the waterways in the port. So we are dredging about 2 million cubic meter sediment in the port, and we bring that back to the estuary as allowed by our government. But next to that, we also had we agreed on the solution for the Eemsdalers estuary, that, as Emil already mentioned it this afternoon, that sediment have to be attracted and beneficial used for a healthy estuary to solve the problem of the turbidity and the prime production in the estuary. So we are looking for beneficial ways in combination with the dredging activities in our port. And from our commercial side, then we focus on different sectors, and these activities are for us within the circular economy. So with the companies that we attract to our port, we are speaking about these kind of industries, and the beneficial use of sediment is part of the circular marketing program of Groningen Seaports. And we think that we can achieve as a port the most greenest port complex in the north of the Netherlands, next to the Eemsdollar estuary, which is part of the World Heritage. And we believe that we can say that the port is just the greenest seaport, and the estuary is still sick because of the turbidity in the water and the loss of biodiversity. So that's one of the reasons that we say that we also invest in these nature-based solutions and be part of the projects. And as we look to the beneficial use of sediment, it's actually quite common activities for companies in our port to dredge, to cover logistics, to store bulk products, and to distribute them to all kind of users. So from the Eemsdollar 2050 program and the beneficial use of sediment and the 2.5 million mud that need to be extracted, there are different kind of opportunities for companies in the port and in the port community to be part of the solution. And I will go to one of the projects that we as Groningen Seaports developed together with some agricultural companies to improve their soil, which was mostly sandy, and they were looking for more clay, mud, and so in a period of time between 2015 and 2019, we had a pilot to bring the dredged material to the farmers and have a look if that was improving the quality of the soil, and especially on sugar beet, which is the right picture. We managed something. So these kind of pictures with logistics, with dredging, they are familiar in the port, and companies are they know how to do that. They have their experience in that, but still, we need to lower the cost and to improve technology to make the business case totally closed financially. So that's also why from the left picture we bring it from ship directly to the farmers, and later on we decided to store it for a moment. We had the time that the farmer need to be ready to achieve it, and we have the period that the dredger is available in the port. So the difficulty we fixed with a local storage. And during the time, we agreed with the local governments, with the farmers, to make a pilot. On the spot, we used 90, 60, 30, and 0 tons a hectare of wet mud from the port. And here you can see the spots and the lines that, yeah, some parts are not filled with the mud and others are. And during summertime, sugar beet came up, of course, and we saw that there was already a difference in color and in density of the size of the leaves of the different amount of mud that we added to it. So that was quite surprising and for us also hopeful for the upscaling of this pilot. And next to that, you want to know, especially for the farmer, what will be the financial advantage for them, and the willingness to pay for it. So we did a research. We calculated the amount of sugar from the sugar beet, and in the final column you see the difference in benefits for the farmer. But still, then you can't fit the whole gap between winning, distribution, and the final cost to fulfill all the extra that the farmer gets from the land. But as you see, there is also from this side a benefit financially for the farmer. So they are really willing to participate in the follow-up of this project. And now coming back to Groningen Seaports again, because another part of our marketing is chemistry, and within the chemistry sector, of course, they are looking for other opportunity to find new ways of producing, new ways of production within the climate agreement. And sugar beet might be a big opportunity for that. So there is a benefit as well on the side of Groningen Seaports and the industry, and to have more sugar beet available in the area, and to close the loop between the carbon that is captured from in the sugar beet, and to fulfill that with the whole closed loop from the dredged material from Groningen Seaports, which is also partly rich of carbon, which will be used by the sugar beet. So for our port, it is really important. That is something that we've seen, that the feedstock, like mud in this example, the technology and the technology partners to upgrade or store or reuse the products are important, and that there is a market, of course. For example, in the agricultural sector or in the water management sector. And within this circle, there are many opportunities for Groningen Seaports and the companies to fulfill a task in the ecological restoration of the Ems estuary. And that's something that I believe that for all companies, in the past, it was especially you had the difference between the governance, the NGOs, and companies. That companies there were for a long-term competitiveness, and that governance and NGOs are addressing social and environmental objects. But I think that economic growth will be green, and that thereby the long-term competitiveness of companies, they should simultaneously address the social and environmental objectives. So I think for the long term, this kind of project like Building with Nature, or the one that I showed for soil improvement in particular, maybe are quite interesting for companies to invest in and to get money. Of course, new partnerships need to be arranged, new ways of productions. Maybe subsidies are needed to close the financial gap. But I think there is also for companies a future within these kind of projects. That was my presentation. Thank you, Luca.
Thank you, Bart. Sophie, I think we have time for a quick question.
Yeah, a quick question with a quick answer, hopefully. Do you expect that the 1 million cubic sediment will be ever extracted from the Ems Dollard of the Ems estuary, and how to achieve this ambition? And then in addition, is the sediment also too salty? Salty, and is that a problem?
Yeah, we are running now we are trying now in 4 pilots the beneficial use of sediments, and we are still believing that from 2025 we can arrange the amount of 2.5 million cubes a year. But it's not the question if the mud is available or it is technically possible. It is mostly the big question whether the market will be there to make use of all the amount, and that's something that as a company you can't only fix that. You have to do it in combination with other parties. But I think that's the main question. But we still believe in if all the pilots that we are running now are successful, we can arrange that.
Nice.
Yeah, Bart, and you mean other partners, other private partners, but also public partners, I guess.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. We still have to do some technical innovations in some projects. We need the farmers, but also the government for a circular use of sediments for dike improvements or anything else.
Yeah, thank you, Bart. So I'd say that unfortunately, time to move on again. And I'd like to invite our last speaker about the business case, but not the last speaker of today, Maurice. Maurice de Kok is an engineer, civil engineer van Oord, for more than 30 years, of which a lot of years abroad, I understand, but especially I understand that you seem to have seen the transition from only construction role for a contractor to a more broader role for design, construction, maintenance, and finance. So I guess that's almost a perfect position to conclude this part of the webinar. And you'll take us all the way to Senegal, I think.
Thank you, Luca. Thank you for allowing me to present a business case of a dredging contractor. I work for Oord. That we are currently executing in Senegal, in Africa, west coast of Africa. First aerial picture shows you a little bit the local scenery. And I will go to the next picture now. Yeah, having a close look at the village of Saly, you can see that erosion has taken away quite an area of the coast, and threatening land and lives, because people who live there have to move. People who work there still want to make a living. Think about the fishermen in this part of the world, but also tourism. So these three stakeholders, local community, fishermen, and the tourism industry, they have a declining income. And how important is that, these income for these persons? It's like half of their gross domestic product is generated in this part of the world, on the coastline. And if we don't do anything, livelihood will be destroyed, and other means of living also will be taken away. And to have an idea, you're talking about, and these are numbers from the World Bank, almost $4 billion US. That's 4 years ago, 2017. Looking in detail, fishing people, tourism and infrastructure is at risk. It's a poor country. There's not enough funding for them to restore themselves. And the reasons, as just said before, the shoreline. There's an aerial picture I will show you a bit later to also see that human activities by modifying the coast will also have a negative impact. And last but not least, the sea level rise is influencing this part of the world negatively. World Bank launched a tender, and in 2018 we won this contract. And it's good also to realize that the World Bank is looking at social, economic and environmental aspects when you submit such a tender. In more detail, pictures from 20 years ago, the beach in 2000, and then below the pictures before we started working. And as you will understand, it's not possible to safely beach a vessel from the fishermen here, but also for tourism, this is not very attractive. Here you see the aerial situation, the coastline in 2003. And then the same location here, and you can see on the left top that the man-made construction is, let's say, stabilizing the beach northwest of this construction, but the area where we are now interacting is completely gone. Now, this is how physical work for a contractor in Africa looks like, building groins and small breakwaters with locally sourced rock, training the people, making sure that the rock is being transported safely and soundly from the inland quarries to the beach. And to have a total overview, I would like to share this video with you.
The Senegalese coastal town of Saly is one of the most popular tourist attractions in West Africa. Like many other places along the west coast of Africa, Saly's coastline has been weakened, affecting fishing and tourism. This is mainly caused by erosion as a result of accelerating global climate change and human interventions.
Laissez les places avant. Oui. Voilà. Tu as vu.
Et maintenant, sans plage, ce n'est pas possible.
Ce n'est pas possible. Ce n'est pas possible. Tu as compris, ouais. Voilà.
Due to this erosion, the beaches of Saly have completely disappeared. This has resulted in a decline in tourism, which is the main source of income for the 20,000 inhabitants of Saly. It is a major threat to the local economy.
My name is Maarten Meder. I'm the Regional Manager Africa. Already for a couple of years working for Oord.
The World Bank is funding this coastal protection project, which will give a boost to the local economy and community.
We're here to restore the beaches of Saly, which is a coastal town in Senegal, 70 kilometers south of Dakar, popular tourist destination. As you can see, there's no beach. In the past, the beaches disappeared due to coastal erosion, which has an immediate result on the local economy. Hotels closed down, people disappeared. Real disaster for this little village. We're here to bring the beaches back to serve the local community. The project is called the Saly Coastal Protection Project. Van Oord has 150 years of experience in designing and executing coastal protection projects. Our approach is in line with the philosophy of the World Bank. We employ local people. We have about 40% of our workforce is Senegalese. We have local operators on the excavators, on the dump trucks. We have local subcontractors. We have a local rock supplier to get all the rock from the quarry to the work site. For this project, we need about 200,000 tons of rock. We're building these breakwaters offshore. As you can see, there's no beach now. We will use a hopper dredger to take the sand from an offshore borrow area and pump the sand onto the beaches with a floating pipeline.
Ce qu'on attend, c'est d'abord de redonner à Saly sa statut d'antan, c'est-à-dire une station balnéaire avec une vraie plage, ce qui va certainement faire revenir tous les touristes qui nous avaient quittés pour d'autres destinations.
Donc si on récupère des plages, les pirogues pourraient remonter doucement. Même les pirogues maintenant, on peut les laisser dans l'eau et il n'y a plus de danger. Parce qu'il y a les roches qui arrêtent le vague. Donc les pirogues, il faut remonter, il faut les laisser dans l'eau et il faut dormir tranquille.
Plastic is a very evident problem here on the beach in Senegal because we see a lot of plastic waste washing along the beach, but also in the village there's a lot of waste. It has a huge effect on the people that live here. So as Van Oord, we have chosen to take our social responsibility in the community. We don't only pay attention to the things that we're building in the water. We are educating children about the consequences of plastic for the sea and their environment. A clean beach is very important for the image of a city, and especially if it is the way to attract tourists.
This project really makes me proud. It's nice to contribute to the living standards of a local community and create a safe coastline for future generations.
Well, my colleagues already worded it very nicely. And this is a recent picture. You know, now you see the sand is being supplanted to the beach to make sure that the tourists are welcome in a very short time. Just to recap, people, I mean, this is where we do it for. I mean, we will try to make a better living for the people who live and work in Saly. Next to that, it's good for the planet. We try to do it in a sustainable way. I mean, the original solution at first was considered was to fully protect the coast with rock and preventing fishermen from going there. So by getting all the stakeholders around the table and coming up with, let's say, these known solutions from other parts of the world, we've been able to convince and find a solution that makes most of the stakeholders happy. And hopefully this project will bring back the prosperity to the town and the people of Saly. Something that in the end of the movie also was shown is that the team locally working from my colleagues have also found an opportunity to, let's say, educate and transfer knowledge, and also to motivate people to keep the beaches clean, which in large parts of the world is not something which is standard practice, so to say. And by showing just a picture of like a bird that they open where the people are resident, you see even, let's say, a lighter there. I mean, then people realize, you know, we have to take care of our environment and we have a responsibility ourselves as well. And I must say this has given enormous publicity locally and has also been a huge success in that whole area. And it's easily copyable because it only takes a few people to motivate and to inspire others. Then the whole system starts running. Some of these pictures show, you know, from young to old people, all hands together, cleaning a really messy beach and making it, let's say, yeah, almost like a new folder for the next hotel opening. Recap, my last 2 slides, the business case. I think it's clear, we provide a future for fishermen, tourism industry and Saly residents. You can't do it on your own. You really have to make sure that the key stakeholders are involved in the process. The earlier they are involved, the more beneficial for the whole project it is. Management by a team is also very important. You just heard it, 40% of the team consisted of locally employed employees, people from the town and from the neighborhood, and really to explain them how to do it and when to do it in a safe and sustainable manner will benefit them also in the near future. It is scalable and adaptable. This solution can be copied to other projects in the same area. The knowledge is there, the technology is there. So yeah, we have actually already started working on the next project in a similar in this area. And by involving the local community, you build capacity, and then all these enablers are making the project a big success. I would like to thank you for your attention. The local community is happy, and I hope also my audience is happy, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Maurice. Well, a lovely project, and also with adding the extra plastic removal, the beach cleanup over there. I have a question for you, and I will also, due to the time, like to ask Stephanie and Bart already, so they can give their view also on this question after you give your answer. My question is, how can we improve this building with nature business cases at a larger scale? Will money all in a sudden become less important, do you think then?
If I may kick off, money is always important. Without money, you will not build a project, but it's one of the many enablers. And I would say, as our previous speakers have also indicated, getting all the local stakeholders engaged, thinking out of the box, thinking of innovative solutions, and really engaging the people is very important to the success of a business case. Is that answering your question, Sophie?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I think Bart also wanted to add something, or did I see that wrong?
Wait, Sophie, I also see, by the way, a specific question for Bart, which we can correlate to that, so we can catch 2 at 1. So I think you, Bart, said that you're developing a business case, and indeed try to make the bottom line come together. There's a question: is this approach specific to Groningen Seaport, or how specific it is, and how can it be applied to different ports in the Netherlands or abroad?
Yeah, I think the specialty for Groningen Seaports is that we are dealing with clean mud, which there is no necessity to extract it from an environmental part besides the turbidity. So that's something that is especially for the side of Groningen Seaports, but I think the concepts like the kleirijpening for dikes, that they can be copied for other ports and other areas as well.
Yeah. And I see Maurice says yes. Maybe you're looking at projects as well that you could apply that.
Yeah, we see really opportunities. The system of the kleirijperij that's being used in the area, and the project that Bart just described, we are considering similar solutions where you can reuse the material instead of disposing it. But it needs to be of a certain quality. It should not be contaminated. I mean, there are few restrictions, but by all means, we have to consider all these options, and it's a very smart option, and it will definitely be implemented elsewhere as well. I'm convinced.
Maybe you know we are about to wrap up, but we asked this question to Stéphanie already about how pilot and projects may differ in the business case. We saw one project and one attempt to scale up in different projects. Do you think that Maurice and Bart listen to you when there's in this project? And do you see indeed that the approach that we develop or you develop with your colleagues at EcoShape is indeed reflected in this project?
Good question. Thank you. Well, I do think these projects can be really of an inspiration to be applied elsewhere as well, right? So we see that it becomes more and more well known, and especially when the scale is larger and also the involvement of all the stakeholders, it can help to really make it showcase projects. So I do think it is they are good examples. And just keep telling about them to maybe make them even more mainstream, that it's really more standard to include a business case or include a building with nature approach. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I think at this time that maybe normally Sophie and I should summarize a bit what we've learned today and thank the speaker. We definitely thank you, the speaker, but I would like to use your word, inspiration, Stéphanie, to introduce our last speaker, or to listen to final remarks from our director of EcoShape, Henk Nieboer. If Henk, if you can turn the camera on. We don't see you, Henk, yet.
No, that's correct, because you disabled my camera.
Oh. We disable our last speaker.
Leon, I will.
I think you're coming. Here you go, Henk. You can share the camera now. We saw you for a moment.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm fine now.
Yes, we can see you. Do you want the slides, or are you just gonna tell something?
I will not take. I will not take a lot of your time. Well, thank you, Luca and Rianne, for presenting a great seminar. Also, thank you to the speakers. What I normally say, if I'm the last speaker, I will not keep you too long because the drinks are waiting for us. But unfortunately, that's not possible today. And that's for two reasons. One is the COVID pandemic. And the other one is that my wife told me that we are having a dry January, so I wouldn't have been able to join you anyhow. But what I want to do is take back a little bit on the last 12 years actually, because you may not have realized this, but this webinar is one of the last activities of which we often called the EcoShape 2 program. On the 31st of December, the cooperation agreement between the EcoShape partners ended, so we are wrapping up this program. We still have the Climate Adaptation Summit to come, and after that, all we have to do is finish, clean our desks, and complete two projects which haven't been finished yet. Does it mean that we will disappear from your radar? I don't think so, and I will come back to that later. Well, in 2008, we started with public and private entities in the Dutch hydraulic infrastructure sector decided to join forces with Green Knowledge Institutes to develop the concept of building with nature. Between 2008 and 2012, this innovation program was carried out as a full-fledged fundamental and applied research program under the leadership of Huib de Vriend, one of the directors of Deltares at the time and a professor at TU Delft. Among the results at that time, we had 19 completed PhDs, several physical pilot projects, and a network of dedicated professionals and guidelines for the replication of nature-based solutions in the form of a wiki. But what was also clear in 2012 is that although we saw a lot of potential for this knowledge and a lot of useful knowledge was developed, further applications were hardly in sight. Therefore, a new program was started, and you have been looking at a part of the results of that program today. Well, what have we achieved and learned since 2014, the start of this second Building with Nature program? 14 pilot projects were completed. You can see them, you can go there, you can experience them. Knowledge was developed by theoretical studies, by monitoring, analysis, interpretation, and by creating guidelines for scaling up and replication. We have worked on dissemination of concepts, ideas and experience, built networks and made friends across organizations and disciplines. We have inspired others to start their own programs and experiments. We have made contacts and friends all over the world. We have learned from their insights and perspectives. We have reached out to many others who have been inspired what we did, and they have inspired us in turn. Our legacy is captured in a wonderful book. Luca showed you it in the beginning, and a platform with guidelines together with everything I mentioned before. And very important is that we learned that building with nature is also very much about people, about the will to cooperate, about passion to achieve something great and good, about stamina and stubbornness, not giving up when you want to achieve something, about trust in motives and capabilities, about openness for other perspectives, about being able to share not only knowledge, but also the spotlights when they are on, and about the drive to do better than we did before. And does this all end here today? Well, no, that's not so. First of all, we are far from ready. Look at the EcoShape enablers and you will realize that a lot of new knowledge, research and experimenting is still required to scale up building with nature, as well as outreach among sectors, disciplines, and the many stakeholders engaged with or influenced by these concepts. Building on these enablers, we intend to continue developing projects, programs, and pilots to bring this concept further and create the conditions for further application. We will do that as an innovation network of people and organizations who will work together in various coalitions. And our overarching ambition is to make a substantial contribution to the Sustainable Development Goals by realizing building with nature projects as a solution for societal challenges in deltas and estuaries, along rivers and coasts on a landscape scale. And if you like to make that journey with us, that's possible. As part of the program, we intend to build a community of like-minded individuals, exchanging ideas, making contacts, inspiring each other, and participating in events, learning from knowledge developed in the projects we will undertake. And maybe you will undertake as part of this community. In the first quarter of this year, we will communicate our plans and let you know how you or your organization can participate. And if you already want to express your interest, please leave a message at our info mail address, info@ecoshape.nl, which you can find through our website. We have been very inspired by the last years working together. We feel a lot of energy moving forward, and we hope to have inspired you likewise and to meet you somewhere in the future. Thank you for this, for bearing out with me.
Thank you, Henk. And thank you for your inspiring word. I've been also spent the last 4 years working with EcoShape, aside to Deltares, and I completely agree with what you said. It's a fantastic place to work with a lot of different colleagues of different disciplines and organizations. And indeed, this is not a let's say a goodbye, but just an opportunity to increase the group of friends relationship that we want to build together for the future within our organization or together with other organizations. Maybe Sophie,
yeah.
A couple of a few words from you before we say goodbye.
Yes, definitely. yeah, I'm not that long involved, just a little bit at the business case also with Stephanie showed, and with webinars. It was a delight to do the webinars, to meet so many partners and people with the same mindset to use building with nature more and to make the world still safe, but also a little bit greener and more beautiful and more sustainable. So thank you all for that opportunity. And then I think
the announcement.
Yeah, first let's
indeed
a little information, and then we thank everyone again.
Yes, so as you heard a couple of times, we will see each other again, if you want, on the 25th of January and the Climate Adaptation Summit. There we will have the official launch of our book internationally, and we will also talk a bit more about the business case, and we'll show the products we have. And I think with this, it's time to say goodbye with the trailer of the CAS event, with the main messages of our business case we'll present there, and to thank you all to participate to this webinar. And again, it's not a real goodbye, but it's to see you at the next opportunities to work together.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you. Sorry that we took a little bit longer. Also, still a massive thanks to the presenters, and also to Luca, my co-host, and to Corrie, Rianne, Lies, and Belinda for making the webinars also possible, and EcoShape, of course. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, and hopefully we'll see you at the CAS event. Sorry, we took a little bit longer. Hopefully you learned something and you were interested, and check out the EcoShape website.